Daddy, why is that woman sleeping here? A millionaire single dad's touching journey revealed, and Jake walked through the front door, his shoulders heavy with the weight of the day. The aroma of baked cookies filled the air. Lily's laughter echoed from the living room, where she played with her dolls. In this meticulously manicured suburban paradise, life was perfect, or so it seemed. As he hung up his jacket, a small voice pierced the evening as sharp as glass. Daddy, why is that woman sleeping here? Jake froze. The question hung in the air, defying all the neat boundaries he'd worked so hard to create. Lily stood there in her princess pajamas, her bright eyes searching his for a simple answer. How do you explain the complexity of someone like Sarah, a war veteran, displaced and lost to an 8-year-old? Her presence had come as an unexpected storm, uprooting more than just the guest bed sheets. Sarah had crashed on their couch after a life of turmoil left her vulnerable and alone. Ex-military, she had fought for a country that turned its back on her, and now Jake was grappling with the awkwardness of having a stranger in his home. She's just staying with us for a little bit, sweetie, Jake finally managed, grappling with discomfort. Life's just been a bit hard for her right now. Lily bit her lip, her innocent gaze searching his for understanding. But she looks sad, she said softly, as if she could feel the weight of Sarah's burden. As days turned into weeks, the interactions transformed from stilted nods to shared breakfasts, lingering glances, and heartfelt conversations. Jake marveled at how his vibrant daughter embraced Sarah with open arms, inviting her into their world. Each night, as they snuggled in bed, Lily would excitedly recount stories about her day with Sarah, how they painted rocks together, or how Sarah taught her how to tie knots, moments that bonded them across their strikingly different lives. You know, Lily, Jake said one evening, as they reflected on their day, not every family looks the same. Sarah just needs a little help. It felt wrong to him, to be preaching about compassion while still wrestling with his privileged bubble. Days turned to a whirlpool of emotions, with whispers of awareness bubbling through the community like wildfire. Did you hear about that veteran living with one of the tech guys? Jake would overhear as neighbors exchanged knowing glances. It was almost scandalous, the way they rallied around Sarah, their collective voices rising for change. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the midst of it all, Jake often found himself at the cusp of a realization, a silent battle waged within him. The irony was not lost on him. By providing comfort to Sarah, he opened the door to profound truths about community and connection. One night, as he heard Lily's giggles merge with Sarah's whispers, Jake sat in the dim light, wrestling with the vulnerability in their makeshift family. It was then that he overheard a conversation between them that would change everything. "You're brave," Lily said. "I want to be brave like you." The weight of those words hit him, and a flicker of understanding flared within. Would he continue to shield himself in the folds of privilege, or would he tear through the walls he'd built to embrace a broader world? It was a question that loomed large, filled with promise and uncertainty, leaving Jake at a precipice only he could bridge. And as he approached the doorway, he sensed the warmth radiating from within, a possibility whispering across the darkness, waiting for the dawn. The next morning, the golden sunlight spilled into the kitchen, a sharp contrast to the weight that lingered in Jake's heart. He leaned against the counter, staring at the remnants of breakfast syrup-streaked plates, a half-eaten stack of pancakes, and a wash of laughter that felt like a distant echo. "Daddy, look what we made." Lily beamed, bouncing into the room, holding up a colorful drawing adorned with stick figures that represented their unusual family. At the top, it read, "Sarah is special." Jake's heart swelled, but it was a mixed sensation: pride for his daughter and fear for the journey they had embarked on. "Wow, that's beautiful, sweetheart," Jake said, his voice softening. He couldn't help but smile at the raw innocence and acceptance reflected in her simple creation. Sarah appeared then, her hair tousled and her eyes still hazy from sleep. "Good morning. What's happening?" she asked, her lips curling into a sleepy smile. "We're going to hang this on the fridge. It's our family painting," Lily exclaimed, eager to show off her masterpiece. Jake saw the way Sarah's expression shifted. The warmth in her eyes hinted at a connection deepening with Lily, yet shadows lingered just beneath the surface. As they gathered around the fridge to tape the artwork, Jake felt the heaviness creeping back. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were all entwined in a fragile web of circumstances. "Sarah," he ventured hesitantly, "how are you really doing?" He didn't want to pry, but those words hung in the air too. "It's tricky," Sarah admitted quietly, her gaze dropping to the floor. "Some days are better than others. But, honestly, being here with you both, it helps more than I can say." Jake felt a knot form in his stomach. Could he really believe that her struggles were just temporarily eased by their presence? Was it fair to wield his kindness as a shield, to block out the simmering turbulence that came with her story? Later that afternoon, Jake decided to pay a visit to the local community center. He had heard whispers of a meeting discussing resources for veterans like Sarah, families who felt the brunt of betrayal from a society that had promised so much. Upon entering, he was quickly swept into an emotional wave of conversations. Men and women stood around sharing accounts of loss, struggles, and the strength needed to rebuild lives. Jake felt like an intruder, but the more he listened, the more he understood the weight they bore. "What do you think?" a kind-hearted woman asked him as she passed by, her expression warm, yet carrying the marks of hardship. "You look like someone who has a lot to offer." I'm just learning," Jake admitted, feeling the pang of vulnerability. "But there's a veteran staying with us. I guess I want to know how to really help." "Just sit with them. Listen. Sometimes that's more than enough," she replied, her eyes glimmering with understanding. When he returned home, it was different. There was a clarity in his heart that hadn't been there before, a newfound urgency to traverse this delicate path for Sarah and Lily. He found them sprawled out on the living room floor, the remnants of a craft project burst across the space: colorful paper, glue sticks, laughter. As Jake sank down beside them, wrapped up in their world, he felt the electric pull between his old life and the new one unfolding. It wasn't just about helping Sarah anymore, it was also about finding a way to weave their lives together, sharing both burdens and joys. "Are you okay, Dad?" Lily's voice broke through his thoughts. She could sense his turmoil and was wise beyond her years. Jake nodded, but would he be truthful? His heart hammered in his chest as he remembered the stories he had heard that day. Families woven together through struggle and resilience. "Just thinking about how we can help Sarah, how we can all be brave together," he replied, a hint of conviction finding its way into his voice. As they finished their project, the afternoon sun dipped low, casting a warm glow on their faces. It was comforting, yet there was an undercurrent of tension. Jake knew this journey was only beginning. In that moment, his phone buzzed with a notification. A community email about a veteran event. The subject line read, "New Beginnings." Jake's breath caught in his throat. Was it time to step fully into this new world, to embrace the unknown? Or would fear pull him back? The choices ahead were immense, but he could feel something shifting inside him. What would it mean to truly open his heart to the complexities of Sarah's life, and more importantly, his own? And with that thought, the familiar whisper returned: was he ready for what lay beyond the horizon? The next morning, Jake found himself staring at the community email again, the words, "New Beginnings," feeling like a call or perhaps a challenge. He knew this wasn't just about attending an event, it was about fully embracing what was happening in his life, opening doors he had kept shut for far too long. As he stepped into the kitchen, the smell of freshly brewed coffee enveloped him. Lily was already perched on a high stool, her hair still tousled, her face a canvas of sleepiness mixed with excitement. Sarah moved around the kitchen, graciously allowing the little one to take center stage even in the morning chaos. "Daddy, can we go to the park today?" Lily asked, her eyes shining like the sun streaming through the window. "Yes, sweetheart," Jake replied, a smile breaking across his face. It felt good to consider a simple day out without carrying the weight of worry. "After breakfast, we'll head out." Sarah glanced up, a hint of surprise dancing in her expression. "Sounds nice. I could use some fresh air," she said, her voice carrying an undertone of hope. "Let's make it a picnic," Jake suggested unexpectedly. "Why not? They could pretend they were a normal family, even if just for a day." Lily squealed in delight, her joy flooding the room like sunlight. Jake watched as she bounced on her stool, a reminder of the innocence and unfiltered joy that life could still offer even in challenging times. Once they finished breakfast, they packed a few sandwiches, snacks, and a blanket. Jake felt an unusual lightness as they made their way to the park. When they arrived, the sound of children laughing and playing filled the air. Lily dashed off to the playground, her spirit soaring free. Sarah watched her go, a softness in her gaze that Jake hadn't seen before. "Lily is quite the little explorer," Jake said, mirroring Sarah's gaze. "She is," Sarah replied, a small smile tugging at her lips. "She reminds me to enjoy the simple things." Jake felt the conversation shift, a connection lingering in the air. "You know, I want to help you, too, beyond just today," he said tentatively, unsure how she would receive his words. Sarah's expression turned serious, and she drew in a breath. "I appreciate that. I really do, but it's complicated. I don't want to become a burden." Jake shook his head, urgency spilling from him. "It's not a burden if we share it. We're in this together, right?" She met his gaze, and in that moment, he sensed a flicker of something deeper: understanding, perhaps, or acceptance. As they sprawled on the blanket under the dappled sunlight, little moments passed between them, punctuated by laughter and gentle conversations about life. With every smile from Sarah and giggle from Lily, Jake felt layers of fear peeling away. Maybe vulnerability wasn't an obstacle to be avoided but a road to travel, a path toward healing. After a while, the afternoon sun dipped toward the horizon, casting a beautiful orange glow over everything. Lily, tired from her adventures, snuggled against Jake, her small body growing heavy with sleep. Jake watched the scene around him, his heart swelling with an unexpected mix of joy and concern. He could see that this was not just a playdate, it was the building of something new, something that hinged on the fragility of human connection. "Jake," Sarah said softly, breaking into his thoughts, her voice barely above a whisper, "I'm glad to be here, but what if I can't? What if I don't measure up?" He turned to her, the weight of her question thudding heavily in the air. "You already measure up, Sarah. Just by being present. We all struggle in different ways, you know. It's about being brave enough to face those struggles together." As she nodded, something shifted in the light around them. Yet, in the back of Jake's mind, the sensation of unease returned. Would this moment lead to something deeper, or would it fray at the edges when faced with the realities of Sarah's past? With those thoughts swirling, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was brewing just beyond the horizon. What would happen when they had to confront the deeper truths of their lives? Jake's heart raced at the thought. Would they weather the storm together? The evening air was thick with the scent of grass and fading sunlight as Jake leaned back on the blanket, his arms supporting Lily's tiny form. He watched as shadows danced across the park, children's laughter still echoing like music. Sarah lay beside him, gazing at the sky, her expression a canvas of thoughts and feelings swirling just beneath the surface. "Do you think she'll be okay?" Sarah's voice broke the stillness, her eyes reflecting genuine concern. "Who?" Jake asked, though he instinctively knew she was talking about Lily. "Lily," she responded, turning to meet his gaze. "She has so much joy, but sometimes I see this shadow in her eyes. Like she knows things aren't quite right." Jake swallowed hard, feeling a knot in his stomach. I know what you mean. She's perceptive. Children always seem to pick up on what adults try to hide. Sarah nodded, her fingers brushing the grass absently. I just don't want to hurt her. I want to be strong, but life has thrown its fair share of hurdles my way. Everyone has hurdles, Sarah. Yours are just different. Jake paused, unsure where to take the conversation. He didn't want to push too hard but also felt an urge to open up. My life hasn't been all sunshine either. What do you mean? She asked, her interest piqued that he hesitated. Vulnerability was hard, yet the intimacy of their moment nudged him forward. After my wife left, I felt lost. I was consumed by guilt and disappointment. I had to learn how to be a single dad, to navigate this new life. I still have days where it feels overwhelming. But seeing Lily happy makes it all worthwhile, he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. Do you ever wish things were different? Sarah asked softly, her eyes searching his. Jake sighed, the weight of his choices hanging in the air. Sometimes. But wishing for something I can't change doesn't help. I focus on the here and now, the little moments. Like this. Sarah gestured towards Lily, who was now asleep, her small breath synchronized with the distant sounds of children at play. Exactly. It's about the little victories, you know. Every smile, every laugh, every moment she feels safe, Jake said, and he realized how much he craved that for Sarah, too. Thank you for sharing that. It helps to know I'm not the only one fighting through the mess, she murmured, her cheeks flushed slightly as the sun began to dip below the trees. Jake felt a warmth spread through him. They were opening doors, tearing down walls brick by brick. But with each moment, he also felt the storm looming larger. Sarah, he began, his tone shifting to something more serious. What about your past? I mean, you don't have to share if you don't want to, but I want to know you, everything about you. Her silence was heavy, a moment suspended in uncertainty. She ran a hand through her hair, seemingly wrestling with her own thoughts. It's complicated, Jake. There's a lot I haven't faced yet, and I worry that if I do I might lose everything. No one's asking you to face everything right away, he reassured her gently. Just know that I'm here when you're ready. The weight of unspoken words lingered between them, charged with a tension that felt both promising and daunting. The park around them began to empty, the world dimming as the sun set and shadows stretched longer. As they gathered their things, Sarah leaned closer, a whisper of hope in her voice. Maybe we can take those steps together, one at a time. Jake felt like he was standing on the brink of a new chapter, but part of him worried about the unseen hurdles that lay ahead. Would this journey lead them toward healing or a deeper entanglement with the past? Lily stirred in his arms, a sense of innocence grounding them both. Daddy, why is that woman sleeping here? She asked with the clarity of a child who saw the world in a way that adults often forgot. Jake's heart sank, his mind racing to navigate this new reality. How would he explain the layers of their complicated lives to the little girl who only knew love? The question hung heavily in the cool evening air, rippling through the fragile promise of what could be. Would this family they were tentatively building withstand the truth that was poised to reveal itself? Jake's heart raced as he felt the weight of Lily's question. He looked at Sarah, whose eyes, wide and clear, reflected a mix of surprise and uncertainty. Well, he stammered, desperately searching for the right words. He didn't want to confuse Lily or burden her with the complexities of adulthood. She's a friend, honey. Just helping us enjoy the day a little more. A friend? Lily echoed, a bit skeptical. Her small brow furrowed, not quite buying into the simplicity of his answer. Yeah. Friends can share blankets and see sunsets together. Like you and Emily from school. Jake emphasized, trying to translate adult emotions into the world she understood. Lily nodded slowly, as if she was weighing his words against the unspoken truths they all carried. Sarah watched this exchange, a hint of sadness flashing across her face. The innocence of a child always seemed to strip away layers of complexity. Just then, Sarah knelt beside Lily, her voice soothing yet vulnerable. "You're right, sweetie. Sometimes, grown-ups have friends that help them through hard times, too." Jake admired Sarah's attempt to create a bridge for Lily's understanding. It was clear they were all navigating uncharted waters together. But that didn't lessen the weight on his chest, the ghost of their pasts hovering in this fragile moment. As they packed up their blanket, Jake's mind spun with thoughts. Would he have to explain more in the future? Would the truth peel back layers of warmth and love they were building? He wanted to offer Lily a stable world, not one filled with complex relationships formed in the wake of heartache. "Daddy, can we come back to this park tomorrow?" Lily asked, her small hand threading through his fingers, innocent joy flickering in her eyes. Jake smiled. "Of course, sweetie. We can make this a regular thing." More than just a park visit, it was a promise of continuity, a bond they could maintain amid the uncertainties ahead. As they walked toward the car, Jake felt Sarah step closer, her presence warm and grounding. "You handled that well," she said softly, her tone laced with appreciation that sent a flutter through him. "Thanks, but I don't want to mislead her either," he replied, glancing over at Lily, who was blissfully unaware of the weighty conversations lingering just beyond their view. "I want her to feel secure, safe." "She will, as long as she knows you're there for her," Sarah reassured him. Her eyes flickered with understanding, and for a brief moment, he felt like they were sharing this responsibility together. Yet, beneath that connection was a subtle tension. What did it all mean? How long could they keep tiptoeing around the truths that shaped their lives? Jake's thoughts drifted back to Sarah's past, her fragility contrasting with her strength, and suddenly the air felt thicker. "What if I can't be there for you too?" he thought, the unasked question swirling inside his mind. As they reached the car, Jake's phone vibrated in his pocket. Pulling it out, he saw a message from his ex-wife. Just the word "Lily." The sting of uncertainty shot through him like a jolt of electricity. "Is everything okay?" Sarah asked, noticing his shift in demeanor. Jake's heart pounded. "Yeah, just a message from my ex. Do you want to talk about it?" She offered, genuine concern etched on her face. That he hesitated, feeling all the layers of his complicated life pressing in. Could he share this with her too? Or would it scare her away? Taking a deep breath, he looked at Sarah and saw the door she had opened, one of trust and vulnerability. I think I need to, actually." As they settled into the car, the air felt like it was charged with potential. All those unspoken truths lingered, and with them, the hope of healing. What would it take for them to truly face down their pasts together? Would sharing their burdens draw them closer, or create more distance? With uncertainties swirling like autumn leaves around them, Jake realized the journey ahead would not just shape their relationship but also define the kind of family they were becoming. And as the car filled with the sounds of Lily softly humming a tune from her favorite show, Jake felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps the truth wouldn't be so terrifying after all. But the message from his ex lingered like a shadow, a reminder of the life he had moved away from, pulling at him with a question that had no easy answer. How much of the past could he leave behind, and how much would still follow him, ready to pounce? Jake took a breath, trying to ground himself as he opened the message from his ex. What does she want now? He thought, a mix of irritation and worry flooding him. He had hoped to distance himself from that part of his life, but here it was, creeping back. Can't you just ignore it? Sarah suggested gently, aware of the tension tightening in his shoulders. No, I can't, he muttered, tapping the screen to read the message again. Just Lily, as if it were the key to a deeper conversation that he wasn't ready to have. He let the phone drop into his lap, his heart heavy with unspoken concerns. How do you explain your past without overshadowing the present? Lily's voice broke through his thoughts. Daddy, what's wrong? She looked up from her booster seat, her innocent brown eyes searching his face with concern that squeezed his heart. Nothing, sweet pea. He forced a smile, but she frowned, unconvinced. Are you sure? She asked, her tiny brows knitting together. You look like when I spill my juice. Her genuine concern made Jake chuckle. I promise, it's not that bad. Just a silly message. He glanced at Sarah, who offered him a nod of encouragement, and for a second, he felt a connection forming, threads weaving tighter between them. The drive back felt longer than it should have. He wanted to fill the silence with light conversation, something to keep his mind off the weight of lingering worries. So, what was your favorite part of the park today? He asked Lily, turning the focus to her, her eyes lit up. The swings. I went up so high, Daddy, I felt like I could touch the clouds. Her excitement was magnetic, and he couldn't help but smile at her innocence. That sounds amazing. Sarah chimed in from the front seat. Maybe tomorrow we can bring a kite. It'll be like you're flying even higher. Yeah. Let us do it. Lily squealed with delight, and Jake felt a wave of relief wash over him at her joy, if only fleeting. But as they approached their home, the reality of his situation hit him again. Each step toward the front door felt like a push against an invisible wall. Would he have to explain his ex to Sarah? What would he say? And when would it end? Lily, honey, I need to talk to Sarah for a minute. Can you grab your favorite toys and play in your room? Jake requested as they entered their house. Okay. She chirped, skipping off, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in the air. Jake turned to Sarah, who was already studying him with a concerned expression. What is it? She asked softly. He paused, considering his next words carefully. I don't want my past to mess this up. I thought I'd moved on, but he exhaled slowly, the weight of his life feeling heavier than ever. The message, it's about Lily. She needs to see her mom more often. Things were already tense between us, and I feel like this could set off another wave of issues, he continued. Sarah stood quiet for a moment, her eyes searching his. Is it about what you want or what Lily needs? She asked, her tone even but firm. Her question pierced through him like a dart. What did he really want? He wanted to protect Lily, of course, but was he protecting himself too? Emotions swirled within him like debris in a storm. I just don't want her to feel pulled in two directions, he admitted. I want to be enough for her. Jake, you are enough, Sarah said, her voice steady. But you're going to have to be honest. Not just with me, but with yourself and Lily. The air between them was thick, full of tension yet laced with a hint of solidarity. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the ground shift beneath him. Was he ready to tackle everything head-on? Did he have it in him to be transparent about his struggles without breaking what they were building together? Maybe I need to talk to Lily about her mom. Start there, and let it unfold, Sarah encouraged. Just remember, the way you handle this will shape her understanding of love and family. His heart raced. The idea of exposing Lily to heartbreak frightened him. But Jake caught a glimpse of the hope in Sarah's eyes, a light shining through the fog, and he knew he could lean on that. Okay, he said finally, half determined, half resigned. I'll try. As he turned to the living room, ready to brave his daughter's innocence and the truth that might shatter it, a small voice echoed in his mind. How deep would the roots of their pasts grow, and could he ever carve out a true future that felt real and whole? Inside him, storms brewed and clouds gathered, waiting to unleash their hidden truths. Would Lily's understanding of family shift in ways he'd never expect? And as he looked toward the room where Lily played, the weight of tomorrow loomed larger than he anticipated. Jake stood at the threshold of the living room, his pulse racing faster than he expected. The cheerful sounds of Lily playing with her toys echoed in the background, a piercing contrast to the turmoil raging inside him. Could he really have that talk with her? He swallowed hard, feeling the prick of anxiety at the back of his throat. Lily emerged with her stuffed bear, a bright smile radiating from her small face. Daddy! Look what Mr. Cuddles can do! She declared, lifting the bear high above her head. In this moment, every worry receded slightly. Her joy was infectious, illuminating the room. That's impressive, sunshine. Jake laughed, crouching to match her level. But even while he grinned, a weight pressed heavily in his chest. "Can I tell him a secret?" she whispered, glancing around like she was sharing some grand conspiracy. The innocence of it pulled at his heartstrings. "Of course. Mr. Cuddles can keep all the secrets," he assured her. "Okay." She leaned closer, her tiny voice serious yet playful. "I want to be able to fly like a bird, Daddy. You promised we would go to the park tomorrow." He felt a pang of guilt. The promise he made to her felt suddenly frail against the looming conversation with her about her mother. "We'll definitely go, Lily. I promise," he said, hoping to keep the lightness there for just a little longer. "Yay!" she squealed, bouncing on her toes. But then she paused, peering up at him with those deep brown eyes. "Daddy, is everything okay? You still look like when I don't have ice cream for dessert." At that moment, he knew he couldn't keep things hidden much longer. How could he reassure her while carrying the burden of adult decisions? "You're so smart, you know that," he said softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "But there are things we need to talk about. Important things, all right?" Her expression turned serious, clearly processing his words in her young mind. "Is it about Mom?" she asked, the innocence of childhood now tinged with a hint of understanding. Taking a deep breath, Jake knelt down. "Yes, sweet pea. It's time we talk about your mom." Lily's big eyes were unblinking, and he could see her trying to gauge his mood. "Will she come out of the screen?" she asked, referencing the photos he had stored away on his phone. "Kind of," Jake replied. "But I want you to understand that it's not going to change anything between us. You and I are still a team, always." Lily nodded seriously, though curiosity still danced in her eyes. "But, why is that woman sleeping here?" She pointed toward Sarah, who was just entering the room, backpack slung over her shoulder and a bemused expression on her face. Jake's heart dropped. He hadn't prepared for this moment, the inevitable intersection of his past and present. How would he explain Sarah's role in their lives, and what it meant? The context and comfort of their makeshift family felt threatened by his daughter's innocent inquiry. Well, he stammered, feeling exposed as Sarah's gaze flicked between him and Lily. She stepped forward, offering a warm, gentle smile. "Hi, Lily. I just came to see how you were doing. Your dad is the best when it comes to building forts," she said, her tone light, an attempt to shift the mood. "Can I build a fort with you both?" Lily asked, her enthusiasm returning. "Mr. Cuddles can help, too." Jake felt relief as a smile spread across Sarah's face. It was a moment of grace amidst uncertainty. Maybe they would find a way to navigate this after all. "Absolutely. We can make the biggest, best fort ever," Sarah replied, her laughter mingling with Lily's. As he watched them, a strange warmth flickered in Jake's chest. But layers of uncertainty still loomed. Would Sarah understand his past? Would Lily's feelings about her mother clash with what they were trying to build as a family? He was perched on the precipice of big change, and the conversations yet to come hung over him, daunting yet necessary. "Hey, Lil," Jake said, swallowing hard. "Can we talk a little more about Mom later? I think it's important for both of us." "Okay," she replied casually. Already lost in thoughts of forts and bears, Jake exchanged a glance with Sarah. It was filled with a silent understanding, a promise that they would face these emotionally charged conversations together. But deep inside, Jake's thoughts churned. How would this all unfold? How many battles were left to fight, and could he shield Lily from the heartbreak he felt tangled with his own? As the laughter echoed around them, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that whatever happened next would reshape their little world in ways he couldn't yet imagine. How could he be the father Lily needed when he felt so vulnerable himself? And as they gathered to build their fort, the question hung in the air: could he truly navigate the path ahead without losing sight of what mattered most? The blankets and cushions began to pile up, a makeshift fortress forming in the living room. Jake helped Lily drape a large sheet over the couches, creating a cozy hideaway. He watched as her little hands scrambled to secure the corners, her laughter weaving through the air like music. "Just like this, Daddy," she directed, an expert quality to her commanding little voice. There was so much joy in her, and for a moment, Jake reveled in it. The worries about how to talk to her about her mother faded, if only just, once the fort was complete, Lily crawled inside, clutching Mr. Cuddles. "Come on, Daddy. It's a secret hideout," she called, beckoning him with an enthusiastic wave. Jake squeezed into the fort beside her, the confined space making it feel more special. The world outside the sheet walls disappeared, leaving just them. "This is the best fort ever," he said, smiling at her beaming face. She leaned closer, resting her head on his shoulder. "Now we can talk secrets." The weight of what he still needed to say settled on him again. "You know, there's another kind of secret that's not so fun, sweet pea," he began, his voice quiet. "It's about your mom and Sarah." Lily's eyes widened slightly. "But I thought we were superheroes here." His heart cracked just a little. "We are, but even superheroes have to talk about tough stuff sometimes. Like when they lose their powers?" she asked, a hint of confusion dancing in her eyes. "Exactly." He took a breath, wishing there were a script for this. "Your mom, she's not with us like you wish she was. But she loves you very much. And Sarah." He paused, aware of the nuances that were bound to feel overwhelming. "Sarah is here to help us, and she cares about you, too." Lily tilted her head to the side. "Is she my new mom?" The question sliced through him. "No, honey. Sarah isn't your mom. No one can take that place. But she is someone who cares about both of us, okay? It's not meant to replace anything, it's just a new kind of family." Lily sat still for a moment, the corners of her mouth turned down. "I don't want a new family. I want my mom." Jake reached for her, instinctively pulling her closer. "I know, and that's okay. It's okay to miss her. Just remember she was and still is a part of your life, even if it looks different now. I don't want to talk about it anymore." The words came out in a whisper as she hugged Mr. Cuddles tight. "All right, we can change the subject," he said softly, feeling a swell of sadness mixed with gratitude for Lily's honesty. "What's the next adventure?" She suddenly brightened up. "Well, how about we take a trip to the moon?" he suggested, trying to channel her vibrant spirit. "Can Mr. Cuddles be the pilot?" she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with renewed excitement. "Yes. And I'll be the co-pilot. We'll have to bring snacks for the journey." The fort transformed into a spaceship, its walls now reverberating with sound effects and laughter. They blasted off into their imaginary world, leaving the heaviness of reality somewhere far behind. Throughout their exchange, Jake's heart was a mixture of pride and pain. He was grateful for every little smile Lily flashed, every giggle that pierced the heaviness of the conversation he just braved. Yet, the tension remained, the looming necessity of explaining exactly who Sarah was and what her presence would ultimately mean for them both still lingered, waiting to be addressed. As they sailed through the pretend cosmos, Jake's thoughts drifted. Would Lily's acceptance of Sarah come as easily as her acceptance of their imaginary adventure? With the laughter and imagination surrounding them, one truth was clear: it would take time, patience, and the unwavering love of a dad who yearned to protect his little girl from the storms of their reality. But how many storms were left to weather, and would their formidable bond be strong enough to withstand the tempest ahead? The spaceship soared through their imaginary universe, and Jake couldn't help but get caught up in Lily's excitement. "Hold on tight, Mr. Cuddles," he shouted, making engine noises as they pretended to rock through asteroid fields. Lily squealed in delight, her laughter filling the fort and pushing away the shadows of their earlier conversation. As their adventure continued, Jake glanced out of the ship at the living room. It seemed much larger now, stretching out into infinity, even though it was just the same old place. He felt safe in their fort, shielded from the unsettling thoughts waiting just beyond the blanket walls. After what felt like forever among the stars, Lily, still bright-eyed, turned her head. "Daddy, is Sarah going to live in our spaceship too?" The question hit him again. This time, it felt heavier, almost like a stone dropping in his stomach. He took a deep breath, his hands nervously fidgeting with a corner of the sheet. "Well, sweet pea, she's not a part of our spaceship right now. Sarah lives in another place, but she wants to be part of our lives, just like you and me." Lily's brow furrowed. "But she's not like Mom, right?" Jake nodded slowly, pain twinging in his chest. "No, she's not. No one can ever replace your mom. But remember how superheroes can have allies. Sometimes allies help us when we need it." Her expression softened. "So, she helps us?" "Yes. She wants to help. But I don't want her to." The pout on Lily's face was fierce, and Jake felt his heart ache. "I understand. Change is hard. But having someone else care about us isn't a bad thing," he said gently, willing his words to sink in without causing too much sadness. The uncertainty of their situation weighed heavily on his mind, but the fort wrapped around them felt like a bubble of safety. "Can we go back to space?" she asked, looking at him with eager eyes. "Maybe we can see aliens." Jake smiled at her quick shift back to playtime. "Absolutely. What if we meet an alien family? They'd be super nice and want to share their snacks." "Yay!" Lily jumped up, her fingers curling into fists of excitement. "But what if the aliens have a new mom too?" It was swift, her words yanking him back into reality. Jake's heart raced as he considered the implications. He was trying so hard to make this transition into a blended family work, but what if Lily never accepted it? What if she couldn't envision a future that included Sarah? "Lily, it's okay to feel worried. Change can be scary, like meeting new aliens," he said, trying to reassure her as well as himself. "But new can also mean fun adventures together." She nodded a little, her bright eyes reflecting the flickers of a glow stick he had hidden in the corner of the fort. "Okay, but I want to meet the aliens first. And I want to tell them what a brave little astronaut you are," he said, feeling fresh warmth bloom in his chest. They turned back to their game, giggling and shooting off in their imaginary ship once more. Hours slipped by in their fortress, laughter tracing beams of sunlight that danced through the window above. But as the afternoon sun faded, a heavy weight settled back in Jake's mind. He knew they couldn't stay in this world forever. The doors would soon open, bringing the reality of their lives crashing back in. Would they be ready to face the truth together? As the last of the daylight glowed orange across their fort, Jake couldn't help but wonder, how would they embrace the changes waiting outside those sheets? With the shadows inching closer, the question hung between them, heavy yet unspoken, leaving their adventure feeling more fragile than ever. As the sunlight faded, casting a gentle glow in the fort, Jake felt the weight of reality creeping back in. The laughter that had filled their little spaceship felt like a temporary respite, a bubble of joy before the inevitable discussions awaited just outside their blanket walls. He sensed that soon, they would have to navigate through storms of emotion that could either strengthen their little family or tear it apart. "Okay, space explorers. Time to land," he announced, gently nudging Lily. "We have important missions to discuss." Lily's bright eyes sparkled, still caught up in their imaginative flight. "Like what?" She wiggled her fingers, pretending to operate the spaceship controls, her mind still dancing between galaxies. "Like how brave you are being. You have so many questions about everything going on, and that's okay. I think we need to talk about Sarah more," Jake said, trying to keep his tone light but sincere. He watched Lily's expression shift from excitement to seriousness. The change in her demeanor was palpable. "Okay," she replied softly, though Jake could see the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. He reached out to tuck a loose strand of hair behind her ear, taking a breath because he knew this wasn't going to be easy. "Sarah is someone who cares about us a lot. She's been through some tough stuff, just like how we've had our own tough times. But she wants to help us, and she wants to be a part of our family, he began, gauging her reactions carefully. But what about Mom? Lily interjected, her voice barely above a whisper. It was the question he had been dreading, and yet he knew it was the one they had to face. Your mom loves you more than anything in the world. Nothing can ever change that, he assured her. But she can't be here like we want her to be. And that's hard. It's okay to miss her. It's natural to feel a lot of things: happiness, sadness, confusion. Tears welled in Lily's eyes, and Jake's heart sank. But I don't want to share you, Daddy. I want it to be just us. Her small hands gripped Mr. Cuddles tightly, as if the bear could shield her from the truth of their reality. I understand, kiddo. I do. But life makes things complicated sometimes. I promise you, I will always be your dad. We'll always have our special times together, he said, hoping to soothe her worries. I just want things to be how they used to be, Lily said, her voice trembling. I'm scared. It was a plea that pierced through Jake's heart. He wrapped his arms around her, and for a moment, the fortress of blankets seemed to hold back the chaos. Me too, love. I'm scared too. It's okay to feel that way, he whispered. But remember, we can build a new normal. We can try to make room in our hearts for both your mom and Sarah. They don't have to fight for space. He felt the heat of tears pooling in his throat. Lily nodded weakly against him. Can we try? Can I tell Sarah I want to be brave? Jake smiled softly, pride swelling once more as he pulled her back from his embrace to study her face. Of course we can. Talking to Sarah is a step forward. I know she cares so much about you already, he encouraged. Okay. Then maybe we can all build a new fort together. Lily said, her face lighting up at the thought of a new adventure. Yes. A fort that holds all our love. Jake responded, letting her enthusiasm spark something inside him. But he knew they had to speak to Sarah about this, to draw her into the conversation. He felt that they had to navigate this new landscape as a unit. Let us go find her, he announced, rising from the fort. As they crawled out, the familiar living room looked a little different. It's bright and chaotic, but filled with possibilities. Sarah. Jake called softly, searching for her in the kitchen. She turned around, flour dusting her apron and her smile immediately warming the space. Hey, you two. How was space? She asked with a playful smile, clearly unwinding from the day's workload. It was an adventure. Lily chimed, her tone relieved, but we need your help. Can we all talk? Jake held her gaze, and Sarah nodded slowly, seeing the seriousness behind Lily's request and sensing the weight of the moment. Of course. What's on your minds? She asked, setting a hand on the counter. Well, Lily began, her small voice steadying, I want to be brave, and I want to talk about how we can be a family together. Even if it's new. Tears sprang up in Sarah's eyes, touched by the little girl's courage. Oh, sweet girl, that's wonderful. I'd love to be part of that. You're so brave already. Lily grinned, encouraged by Sarah's response. A sigh of relief washed over Jake. They had taken a significant step forward, together. And I want you to know, Jake added, that Lily will always have her mom in her heart. Nobody can take that away. But we can create something new here, where love multiplies. It won't replace anything, it'll just be another part of our lives. I'm in, Sarah replied, a determined look on her face. Let us build a family that welcomes all pieces of our hearts, both the joyful and the complicated. Jake felt the warmth of that sentiment wrap around him like the cozy fort behind them. They were on the brink of something beautiful, a blend of courage, love, and understanding. As they shared laughter and hopes, the shadows of the past seemed to ebb, replaced by a promise of connection built through open hearts. The journey ahead still loomed vast and uncertain, but together, they felt ready to embrace all that came their way. tomorrow would be a new adventure, and for the first time in a long while, Jake felt hope begin to stitch together the pieces of their lives into something bright and whole. Don't wait not even one more second. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spark joy in our community. Comment your feelings about this ending and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Let us grow our family together.